D&D 5e sure is going out with a bang. No more third-party publishing, JK. Continued support for third-party publishers, but the D&D brand is really under-monetized. Oh, and by the way, maybe we won't support third-party content in 1D&D. Wow, things are moving really fast, and most of it is mere speculation, but it's topics worth speculating about. I know I'm behind the curve here because I'm filming this video before Christmas, and now it's 2023. Whoa, Editor Bob here, you know what that means. It's still 2022 as I'm recording this part right now, because while I was filming this part, literally while I was filming this video, Wizards of the Coast released their official statement about the future of the Open Gaming License, changing it to Open Gaming License 1.1. So the day after I filmed this, I made a whole separate video just designated about the OGL, what it really is, what all these rumors were, and what all the facts are now going into 2023. So now in this video, we're going to mostly focus on my other main points, some positive and negative things about 1D&D and the way I think that's going, but then really just coast into the positive points about all these cool things that we do have to look forward to regarding D&D in 2023, this final year of 5e, as I'm about to tell you. In fact, I'm making this video to discuss these recent rumors, but overall to set a calm and positive tone for what's to come in our beloved hobby in 2023, and share my plans as a GM and my main goal as a creator for 2023. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together, and this is my awesome limited edition metal dice set, which many folks are already happily rolling at their tables. They're bright, they're beautiful, they're custom designed with my logo, and there's only like 300 and some left, so check them out through the link below and save 18% using code BOB. It's a great way to support the channel. Now, for those who somehow haven't been blasted with this news already, the OGL, or Open Gaming License. Let's talk about some issues with the methodology of the 1D&D playtest. About once a month, a video interview with Jeremy Crawford, the lead rules architect of Dungeons & Dragons, goes up on the D&D official YouTube channel, and we, fanatically loyal followers, start speculating about the new changes. Then a day or two later, they release a playtest PDF and there's a wave of excitement over the new stuff, but there's always an underlying anxiety about this playtest material. I see it every time in my comments, even though my videos aim to highlight the fun stuff. Sure, I call out a couple things here and there that seem off to me, but while I'm focusing on the positive changes, there's a consistent flow of comments expressing genuine concerns over the smallest changes in phrasing to game mechanics. On one hand, this concern is fine. It's even good because it shows a deep investment in the game and a real love for the way the game system works today. And let's not forget that this concern is a sign that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are succeeding in getting what they really want from us D&D fans: brand loyalty. We hear it over and over that D&D is turning into, or trying to turn into, a lifestyle brand, where people can find a sense of identity. So of course, this behavior, this concern, is also a subtle fear when coming from people who identify their lifestyle so strongly with the game in its current form. But this concern is also a sign of one more thing that I really don't like because it reflects a problem that I struggle with personally. It's about how the 1D&D playtest is continuing in 2023 in this format of monthly breakdowns and surveys, and not for the reason you've heard before. We need more of the game so we can playtest it all at once. Yeah, that's true, but it's not my main issue. I think we're being asked to look way too closely at each and every rule. They're showing us these changes under a microscope and then asking for feedback on these microscopic changes. This is a problem because it leads to the idea that we're in control, that we're all working together like in a giant group project on the next edition of this game. And to some folks, like me, that sense of control leads to a natural concern of, what if I screw it up? While I don't think the designers have any intention to manipulate our loyalty and our concern to create a better game, I can't help but feel like their goal to include us in this process and utilize our love for the game has ended up weaponizing our love for the game, turning us against them and even against ourselves. If that sounds overdramatic, I urge you to really look critically at the language people use to talk about these changes, either in other videos about 1D&D's mechanics or in the comments of any video about 1D&D. Again, the designers clearly didn't want any of this negativity. They wanted thoughtful feedback on their surveys. I just think that they may have underestimated how loud and emotional some folks would get about the changes they're making. So what I want to say here, because I think a lot of us who spend too much time in online D&D spaces need to hear it, D&D, 1D&D, whatever D&D, can be a lifestyle, but it's not a lifestyle that anyone can take away from you or that can be upheaved by anything external, especially by anything that happens to the books, because the official game does not control what happens at your table any more than you control what's going into this next set of core rules. Only your game group determines how you play D&D, and only you determine how you live it and express yourself as a member of the community. Because we do represent the D&D community, and we should be able to embrace change, give some feedback, and then go on with our day enjoying the game as a whole. Yeah, we'd all like the official rules to be as close as possible to what we, in our groups, play at our own tables, but 40,000 people took that first 1D&D survey, and there's no way 40,000 of us D&D lovers are all after the same things. Crawford explained in that same interview that Wizards of the Coast aims for about 80% satisfaction on each surveyed mechanic, meaning that on average, 20% of people, or 1 in 5 people, are not going to be happy with how each rule works. Funny enough, 5 people is a pretty normal-sized D&D group, so if your group members all take these surveys and your group plays strictly by the book, you're almost guaranteed to have somebody at your table disliking any one aspect of the game. Let that sink in for a second. 1 out of 5 people bummed out about any given rule. It's absolutely respectable that Wizards of the Coast is trying to please 80% of the people, especially considering that these people, us, we're the ones with the strongest feelings about the game, but the reality is that they're leaving us to fill in that last 20% satisfaction among our own groups. And it seems like they're addressing this part too. We know that Chris Perkins, the other top designer at D&D, is revising the Dungeon Master's Guide to make it more accessible for new players and to give us all more tools to run the best game we can for our own fellow players. And that's great, because guess what? I'm going to keep talking about these 1D&D announcements because I do find them exciting, and I am really looking forward to being present at the beginning of this next new edition. I really just want to get the 1D&D Player's Handbook, mash it into whatever works for me, and then forget about all the other D&D books for a while. I think it's going to be so refreshing to have just one book to reference. But that's actually a topic for 2024, so to keep up the positivity for 2023, how about this D&D movie? I'm seriously pumped for it. It looks like it's going to be super fun. Yeah, it'll be kind of silly. I don't know if there's a rating yet, but I'm sure it's supposed to be kid-friendly, so it will not be the dark and gritty portrayal of fantasy that many of us might prefer. There's going to be jokes, there's going to be meta jokes about the game itself, and there's going to be montages of battle sequences with classic rock songs playing, and it's going to be a good time. I don't think that's too much hype. It's okay to set high expectations for a movie because worst case scenario, about 2 hours of your life were a little less enjoyable than you thought they were going to be. Do tell me in the comments whether or not you're looking forward to this movie, but please don't try to tell me that this movie is somehow going to ruin D&D, because I'm definitely over that idea. And what about these books? Do you remember all these 2023 books that have already been announced? This winter, Keys from the Golden Vault is a heist theme anthology. Yeah, and I don't have a good excuse for this part. I was just laughing a lot, and I couldn't get a good take, so it's just convenient that Editor Bob here is already making an appearance. Is a heist-themed anthology of short, modular adventures similar to Candlekeep Mysteries, most likely a tie-in to the upcoming D&D movie. Then in spring, Bigby presents Glory of the Giants as a giant-themed companion to Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. In summer, the Phandelver campaign is an adventure that picks up where 5th edition's first campaign, Lost Mines of Phandelver, left off. And in fall, the Book of Many Things is a sourcebook themed around the infamous Deck of Many Things, presumed to be a book of magic items, but we don't really know anything about it just yet. And Planescape, a revival of the beloved 2nd edition campaign setting. It's awesome that Wizards of the Coast finally, in the final year of 5th edition, gave us this roadmap so we know what to expect. And sure, they probably did it just to keep us interested in buying 5e books before things turn over into the new edition. But let's talk about them for a second. I already own the anthologies Candlekeep Mysteries and Radiant Citadel, and I know I'm never going to find time to run a whole other anthology book among everything else I'm planning to run next year. We'll talk about that in a second. However, Keys from the Golden Vault is supposed to be this book of heist-style adventures, and I think heists are awesome, so I might get that and swap out Candlekeep Mysteries or something. The one I'm most excited for is the Phandelver campaign, because while I've only ever run a single session of Lost Mine of Phandelver, every adventure they publish revolving around the town of Phandalin just feels near and dear to me, since the Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure focused so heavily on that micro setting of the Forgotten Realms, and running that module was where I first felt really confident as a dungeon master. I know for a fact that my wife Grace is gonna love the book about giants, because she just absorbs D&D lore as if it were her job, but this Book of Many Things is a tough call. All we know is that it's a source book themed around the infamous Deck of Many Things. If it were an adventure themed around the deck, that would be really cool. I just can't picture what this source book would be like. Some folks have speculated it will be a collection of magic items, maybe compiling all the magic items released individually as parts of other adventures in source books, but we'll see. In Planescape, I imagine this book is kinda gonna go over like Spelljammer, where the very same group of people who are begging for it probably won't be happy with how it's presented. So for the sake of those people asking for it, I really hope it's good, but I'm mostly indifferent here. And you know what? In 2023, we fanatically loyal fans need to be okay just being indifferent about new books. Just like with the 1D&D playtest, we don't have to choose between loving or hating every new thing. We can just say, oh hey, that's neat, maybe I'll use that in my game, and then keep playing our games as usual. Now, when I say our games, I don't necessarily mean just D&D. Yeah, I waited this long into the video to mention it because hopefully all the people who really wanted me to rant about the death of D&D have gone by now, and it's safe for me to talk about trying other RPGs without the misconception that I'm done with D&D. I'm gonna keep playing D&D, I'm just planning on playing a bunch of other RPGs in 2023 in addition to D&D. 5 Torches Deep, a 5e adjacent old school game that I've read several times but haven't had the chance to play yet. And Skate Wizards, a hilarious, seemingly very easy to play RPG zine that came with its own cassette track. It seems amazing, I just haven't played it yet. And Call of Cthulhu, which I have run like twice, and I'm dropping stuff. And Call of Cthulhu, which I have run like twice, and I want to keep trying because it's a very different system. There's not even a D20 really involved in this thing. And of course, Dungeon Crawl Classics, which so far I have only run a one-shot for, but it was frankly the most fun I've had as a GM in way too long. So I'm actually planning on running a campaign with this system, hopefully starting in the spring. And I might make some videos about these other systems, but if I do, they're more likely to go on my second channel, Bob's RPG Radio, where I can make a video not about D&D without it doing extremely terribly. And as a creator, my goal is to stay as level-headed as I can, despite all the news and updates that will try to prey on my natural excitement about D&D, because I'm a spectator in all of this too. I spend probably too much time watching D&D videos by other creators, and I cannot and I do not blame any creators for leaning into the hype and the fear that can come along with these announcements, because frankly that's the most straightforward path to turning this into a job. Heck, I'm pretty sure plenty of my own titles and thumbnails next year will lean a little bit in those directions, but I promise the words that I share with you in these videos will stay calm and mostly positive. But yeah, we're along for this wild 2023 D&D ride together, and I hope we can continue to keep each other focused on the real goal, learning how to have more fun playing D&D. Like in this video about how we can all try to become better players. And if you like that idea, please give this video a thumbs up, consider subscribing, or getting those cool dice I threw over there, or even joining my Patreon to get a bunch of awesome one-shot adventures. Seriously, we have these things looking better than ever, but I appreciate your support in any form. Thank you, and keep building.